Susan. We're now recording. Carl, it says it's recording.
Yeah, but I've got it, my computer's running slow. I've got to pull up the video on YouTube and mute it.
It says we're on YouTube.
Yes, it's recording, but I've got my computer's running slow. I've got to pull up the video on YouTube and mute it.
It says we're on YouTube.
Can I
Yes,
ask everyone to mute themselves so we don't get background noise?
I've got to pull up the video on YouTube and mute it.
Can I ask everyone to mute themselves so we don't get background noise?
Crazy. Crazy.
Okay, finally. Okay. My computer was running so slow it wouldn't let me pull it up. Okay, so we're recording and we're live. And yes, if you're not speaking, my computer was running so slow it hold on, it wouldn't let me pull it up. Okay, so we're recording and we're live. And yes, if you're not speaking, my computer was running so slow it hold on, it wouldn't let me pull it up.
I'm not sure how you mute. Are we ready to go, Carl?
I'm trying to see what the issue is, why it's giving the audio back.
Are we ready to go, Carl?
Trying to see what the issue is, why it's giving the audio back.
Are we ready to go, Carl?
Trying to see what the issue is, why it's giving the audio back. Okay, test. I think we're good, finally. Okay, we are recording and we are live streaming. So I'm gonna switch places. Let Jeremy sit here.
Very good. I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting to order if I could, please. It is 9:37. And like to say good morning to everybody, and I'm glad everybody could attend and join us this morning. I also would like to take a chance to thank Carl and Jeremy for getting all this set up and getting us together this morning. Have you had a chance? There's not any public comment, obviously, this morning. So we'll go straight to the consent agenda. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes of February 19th?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Okay, are there any additions or corrections to? I'm
Who
sorry?
made that motion? Who made that motion?
Angela.
Jackie seconds.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes of February 19th are approved. We will move on to our regular agenda now. Jeremy will start with the financial reports. We have 5 months to go over, so we'll start with, I hope everybody has their packets and we can go on and move forward with that, if we could. I'll turn it over to you, Jeremy. Thank you.
Okay, for the monthly report for the month of February 2020, we did some spot weed trimming throughout the cemetery. We mowed sections A and B. We set 1 military marker. We raised and leveled sunken stones in 6 different blocks of the cemetery. We trimmed the rose bushes throughout the cemetery. We put topsoil on 27 sunken graves, and we fixed emer line leaks in 4 different blocks. We had 10 regular services, 10 tent setups, 10 equipment fees collected, 7 marker fees, 8 containers, and we sold 1 space in the 12 by 12. We had opening, closing, and we had engraving, and we had 4 regular spaces sold and 5 perpetual care, with a total of $35,344.98. Turn over to the income report. And if you look at the income report for the month of February compared to last year, we're way ahead of schedule. We're doing a lot better than we were last year. If you look at the expense report, we spent about $30,000, which was about what we spent last year, just a little more.
Are there any questions about February? Any so far? Okay. In the blue book. We can move to the blue book page, and Jeremy's doing a wonderful job keeping us on track with our finances in the cemetery. And kudos to you, Jeremy. You've done a great job so far.
Thank you.
Any questions with the blue book? Okay. And then our large expenditures, we did have a little bit more that month than we normally do, but it was pretty much supplies, obviously. Anything, what was that for, Jeremy?
Most of the supplies was just upkeep of the cemetery. You know, we had fertilizer. We had also spark plugs for the weed eaters. We had weed or heads that we had to buy. We also bought some plywood that we use for whenever we're digging a grave, so the tractor doesn't sink in a grave. We placed the plywood over those new graves, and so we had to buy some more plywood.
Very good. Okay, we'll move on to March.
Okay, we look at March 2020. That month we had a lot of rain, and we also had 2 employees that were quarantined for 14 days. And so the 2 guys we did have, we just focused on mowing and weed trimming of the whole cemetery. So we didn't do any extra projects. We had 7 regular services, 2 cremation services, 7 tent setups, 7 equipment fees collected, 1 marker survey fee, 4 containers, 1 setting fee, and we had 1 niche double, 8x8 double, 8x8 double, and we had 1 regular service, 1 regular grave sold, and 1 perpetual care for the grave and for the niche. And so we turn over to the income report. Oh, we had a total of $23,426.46. If you turn to the income report for the month of March. And due to, I mean, we had rain. Like I said, we had our guys out. We didn't have a lot of services that month. And so compared to last year at this same time in March, we were a little bit behind than we were last year. But overall, when you look at year to date, the year to date, we're still ahead of where we were last year.
Right.
We can turn over to the expense report. When you look at the expense report for March 20, we just spent a little bit more, a couple thousand less more than we spent last year at March around this time.
Well, and I will go ahead and say that month was, it was extremely busy. It was rather hair pulling for the guys because at this time also, we don't have the taps that are helping us in the cemetery with
Correct.
maintenance, and it's been just short staffed for the last couple of months actually, but we are beginning to get a little bit of help back now. March particularly was trying for everybody out there, and they really did a good job, all things considered. So. Blue Book, any questions here? Or I think everything's pretty much showing where we are and looks good. Jeremy, he's done a really good job staying on top of things, financial wise, anyway.
Large expenditures for the month of March, all we bought was just a push mower. That was the only thing we bought. So that was our biggest large expenditure. If you can turn over to the month of April 2020. We had a complete mowing of the cemetery, complete weed trimming. We put topsoil on 21 sunken graves. And also this is without the help of the taps workers. Our guys, they were really focusing on, weed trimming and trying to keep the cemetery looking good. We had 6 regular services, 1 cremation funeral, 6 tent setups, 6 equipment fees, 4 marker fees, 5 containers. And we had a total, we had 1 regular service, one regular space sold, 1 perpetual care, a total of $16,410.83. So we turn to the income report. Didn't have a lot of services that month, and which was really good for us because we were able to try to keep the cemetery, looking good because we had Easter that same month of April.
Mm-hmm. And our trust income was down a little bit that month too, as well. That was one of the months that was down. So the extra services helped with the finances on that. Okay, over to expenses for April. Any questions here? Any questions for Jeremy? Okay, I think everything.
I have just a quick question. The report in my packet that I'm looking at says March, but I think, is it just mislabeled? That should be labeled April?
That's correct. It should be labeled April. Yeah, Susie and I talked about that yesterday. We went back and double checked, and the totals were different. This is for sure the April expense report. It's just the label is wrong. Thank you. Okay. We'll move on to, I'm assuming everybody's taking a look at the Blue Book there. And monthly report for May. Jeremy, you want to get started on that one?
Yes, ma'am. We had 1 complete mowing of the cemetery, 2 complete weed trimmings of the cemetery. We trimmed the hedges on Avenue N and around the gazebo. We planted flowers around St. Francis. We put topsoil on 30 sunken graves. We repaired emitter lines in 4 different blocks, and we had 3 indigent burials. We had 5 regular services, which was, one of them was a stackable, 3 cremation funerals. We had 5 tent setups, 5 equipment fees collected, 2 marker survey fees, 4 containers, and we had 4 regular services and 4 regular perpetual cares, and that's $23,805.24. Turn over to the income.
Okay.
Once again, it was a slower month compared to 2019. But if you look at year to date, we are way ahead.
Right. May of 2019 was a good month last year, obviously. Better
Right.
than these, yeah. So anyway, okay. And on to the expense report. Is there anything there that we need to review any further? Jeremy?
I have a question. We're showing perpetual care showing up on the income statement, but shouldn't it also show up on the expense, or do we only send perpetual care money over every few months? Because we're having no expense perpetual care in the 2 months where we had income for perpetual care.
We did notice we had an issue with our perpetual care. They're supposed to send a check over. However, they changed. They had a few people leave, they were retired. And so we've been questioning that. So we're still looking into that. We're trying to get everything cleared up with that.
Okay, so our expenses may not be reporting correctly.
For that month, right.
Well, for the past 2, for April and May,
Yeah.
Okay.
there were 0 perpetual care expense entries.
And that's because somebody retired at the city?
Yes, ma'am. And they're supposed to write a check to the account that we have. And
Okay.
that check wasn't written.
Okay, thank you.
But I'm just looking at it, I think. Yes. Okay.
Okay,
Next
you can
month,
follow.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying June, it looks like it's the same problem, but in,
Who is it that in the city that follows up on that? Jeremy, who retired? Do you know?
legal was Dale Hahn. Dale Hahn is who retired.
Okay. You can follow up on that next week and find out what the process is there and why we're not showing that on our expense report.
Yes, ma'am.
And 2, if the money is not going into our fund, it's sitting in the city? Is that what you're saying? Because the check is not leaving the city to go to our trust fund?
Yes, ma'am. I would have to check into, yes, ma'am.
So our trust fund is lagging in getting the funds.
Yes, ma'am.
So the city's keeping our money.
Our perpetual care money.
I remember a transfer done a few months ago, but we'll follow up. I mean, whatever's coming, we'll make sure it's right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carl.
Okay, we'll follow up on that.
So income, general fund transfer.
You want to move on to June?
Yes, ma'am. The month
Okay.
of June, monthly report. We had 2 complete mowings of the cemetery, 1 complete weed trimming of the cemetery, put topsoil on 23 sunken graves. We removed the vine from the front office fence. That fence was about to fall over. And so we decided to go ahead and remove that vine. We planted flowers in front of the vine, in front of the fence where the vine was. We put topsoil around the gazebo and the columbarium. We had 6 regular services, 2 cremation services, 6 tent setups, 6 equipment fees collected, 4 marker survey fees, 6 containers, 1 lot transfer, 4 regular spaces sold, and 4 perpetual care, which is $26,653.19.
Okay. Move on to the income report. This should be, yeah. Any questions with that? Okay. We'll go on with the June income. Jeremy, please.
Income report. Once again, we had a pretty good month. It was 33,000 overall, but it wasn't better than last year. We had 40,000 at the same time. But once again, when you look at the income report for year to date, we're way ahead of where we were last year. Look at the
Okay.
expense report. Any questions about the expenses?
Well, again, we have the perpetual care issue that we'll follow up on.
Right.
Look at that. Okay, yeah, it's still the same balance. Okay. Any questions so far? Anybody, anything else for Jeremy? We'll follow up on that. Shall we move on to the July, if we will, please?
July monthly report. We had 1 complete mowing of the cemetery. We had 1 complete weed trimming of the cemetery. We put topsoil on 18 sunken graves. We fixed emitter lines in 10 different blocks. And also we're watering the cemetery 3 times a week. We're watering the grass, the bushes, and also the trees. We had 6 regular services, 6 tent setups, 6 equipment maintenance fees collected, 4 marker survey fees, 6 containers, 1 regular space sold, which is 1 perpetual care, which is $17,266.76.
What are the situation with the trees over there, Jeremy? I know y'all have taken out some over the last few months. Are we, obviously the cemetery's drying a little bit now with the heat. Everything's suffering with the heat that we've had recently, but we're trying to water, like you said, continuing on it 3 times a week.
Yes, ma'am. We did take out a few trees when we were out there a few months ago, and we were talking about removing those trees for the project that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. We did remove some of those dead trees that were out there. It was like 2 of them, 2 cedar trees, I believe, that were dead. We removed those.
Things are looking, even with the dryness, they're looking pretty good. You can tell that a lot of the trees are stressed, but it's not too bad. They're looking, I was out there day before yesterday and it looked pretty good. I was surprised.
Income report for July 2020. Finally, we had a month where we did better than last year. We did 24,000 this year. Last year was 23,000. Once again, year to date, we're doing great.
Okay.
expense report for July.
Mhm.
Looks like they caught up with the perpetual.
Yeah, and I was just looking at that.
That's what I was gonna say, that in July, it looks like, that's, yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions for Jeremy on any of the financials? We have a quiet bunch today. Jeremy, thank you.
Did
You're
we?
welcome, thank you.
Question, did we totally catch up with the trust income or just for that month?
I'll have Susie follow up and check into it, and we'll find out.
We'll follow up on that. Eva, he can call over there and we can take these totals and follow up on that. I'm assuming they've obviously hired somebody to take his place at this time. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, they have, yes.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Moving on from the financials, Jeremy and I met with Ron Lewis to get an update on the Columbarium lighting project. And things obviously got slowed over the last few months. But we went out there and saw where the trenching is going to take place from the major box on the easement of ASU down to where we need to come down to get the utilities in for the lighting project. Ron is contacting somebody for an update on the estimate of that. Our last estimate was $8,276. He feels like it'll be pretty much the same. This gentleman that he's talking about that has done work for the city before is also a firefighter. So he does this on his time off. They would rent the equipment from right there by the cemetery. So there won't be any added expense for travel or transportation, trailers, that type of thing, to get it's not a backhoe, what is it? The ditcher over there. And then get those done, and then go down the road to where it'll kind of key in straight to the Columbaria. And at that point, we'll use some of our help, or possibly Parks. We'll get some help with that. And Ron correct me if I'm wrong, Jeremy, but didn't he say he was hoping to have this done in the next 4 to 5 weeks?
Yes, ma'am. He wanted to get started in the month of September, and he said hopefully he'll get it done within about a month or so.
So that's where we stand with that. And that would also, Donna, he was saying that he would like to get you out there again to position the bollards, the light bollards, to make sure that we get them exactly where we want them. So I'm sorry it's taken so long. It's just we've had one delay after another, but we're moving forward. So that's a good thing. Any questions about that? Did I leave anything out, Jeremy? I mean, are there anything else about that we need to report on?
No, ma'am. I think that's everything.
Okay. Then next on our agenda is the entrance enhancement project. And I'll update you on that. We do have a donor that would like to, as I've informed you in some of my updates via email, that wants to do a tree improvement enhancement program at the main entrance of the cemetery, possibly going down that main road towards the gazebo, and eventually possibly adding some trees around the gazebo. When I spoke to her yesterday, and she has been getting estimates and whatnot, the project as it stands now is probably going to run in the vicinity of about $22,000. We would like to break that up into two phases, and this year do half of that, which would encompass possibly around the main entrance, adding two 12-foot and possibly two 16 to 17-foot Italian cypress. And then on either side of the main drive there, coming through with, I think she said possibly the 12-foot tall cypress headed towards the gazebo. And then she would do half of it this year, and then and then next year continue on with the other half. What she did ask that I discussed with the board, if possible, is she obviously wants to do this in memory of her father that recently passed. And she would like to put a plaque of some sort at the base of one of the trees, and wanted to make sure that was fine with the board. And I felt like I told her that I did not see a problem with that, and felt like the board would be in agreement, but I did want to run it past you and mention it to you. Let's see, Carl, you worked on this as well, and you have kind of an idea of, you can kind of tell them a little bit more about what she's thinking.
Yes, we've looked at different ways of doing this. And do you want me to show the kind of drawing that we have about it?
I think so, if you wouldn't mind. Yeah, if you can.
I think this is the latest version, and you have to use your imagination a little bit, but this is the entrance to the cemetery. The office is over here. So as you drive in, the view of the cypress trees is upside down, but imagine a cluster of three Italian cypress, skyrocket juniper, and blue point juniper. So you have different heights, different widths, and a little bit different color as you enter the cemetery. And then as you go down along the drive, there's an alley of Italian cypress. And we could space those out however we want to space those. We at least need to space them about 12 feet apart. And this shows about a 20-foot spacing. We could go as much as 30 feet if you wish. And then as you approach the gazebo, there's 4 clusters of 3, 2 Italian cypress and 1 blue point juniper for each cluster, to be symmetrical, because it's a symmetrical setting. And then we have to consider what existing trees are in those locations. There's obviously some old ash junipers that could come out, maybe a mesquite tree or 2. But we also have some trees that were donated by or planted in honor of some board members that we would need to keep or relocate. That's basically it. And we're trying to get, fairly large plants so that, they don't have to, you have more of an immediate effect. You don't have to wait a few years. And we were getting prices too as well. We got some prices on some larger trees. So our quotes are a little bit higher, but I think that price range is about right to get it going. We would have to do a little bit of irrigation work to make sure that we keep these trees watered. So we have to add a little bit of cost to that, $2,000–3,000 at the most.
And we would source these from somewhere that provides a warranty?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, and that's something that I had mentioned, that was that the warranty was important to ask the nurseries about, which I believe she has. And they would be warranted.
So would it be possible for the donor to sign some sort of pledge to the city for the second year payment, and the project be completed or approached as though it's going to be a completed project rather than phasing the parts of the project in?
Well, I think when you have somebody that is wanting to make a donation of this sort for enhancement project, I feel like I mean, it's obviously something we could ask, but how do y'all feel about it? I mean, it's a pretty generous offer as is.
Is that protocol, Carl? How do you typically handle something like that?
Yeah, I'd want to make sure that the donor is good with it. Yeah, I'd like to look at this as a complete project. Here's the vision for the project completed, and then work towards that. I'm okay with doing it in 2 phases, one this year and one next. I think we have some good chance of getting some other donors interested in this and helping with the cost. I don't.
Yeah.
Would it make
I'm very
sense?
grateful for this donation. I want to be careful, not
Right.
Truly.
Yeah.
I think the donation may be for just the phase 1. I'm not positive. We might want to go back and visit with the donor on their intent.
Okay.
I mean, is this donation relying on us finding additional donors to complete the project? Is that what I'm understanding?
I think that
Well,
might
and-
be true, but
Yeah,
I think
excuse me,
more
but when I
conversation.
visited, I'm sorry, Jackie, go ahead. When I visited with her yesterday, she did assure me that what her thoughts are, and that then next year she would fill in with the remaining amount of trees needed to complete the project. She was thinking in terms of breaking it up into 2 phases. The 10,000, basically a $10,000 donation in this year, and another 10,000 next year.
Okay, well, I apologize because I had earlier information but thanks for clarifying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, originally I had that impression too, that there was a certain limit on the amount that she was willing to put forward. So you have more up-to-date information.
Right. Well, I wanted to, when I visited with them yesterday, I just wanted to get an update, and this is basically kind of where we stood. We're still open to, if other people and if there's somebody else that comes along that would like to donate to this project. I mean, it's an amazing beautification of our cemetery. It will transform that entrance, I feel personally. And if people, occasionally in the past, we've had people that wanted to donate a tree or something along those lines. So if you wanted to donate to this project, I think that would be possible, as you were saying earlier also, Carl.
And is there a way that we could space out whatever we do in the first phase to where it looks like it could be a completed project in case the second phase doesn't come to fruition that quickly, where it wouldn't look odd that only the front half is done and you know what I'm saying? Somehow make it to where half of it looks like it could be completed. And then if we get, the money for the second half, we just fill in to make it look fuller. Does that make sense?
I have an idea how we could do it if the donor's okay with it. And if the cost is right. What if we concentrated on the entrance, doing the entrance and around the gazebo as the first phase, and then work towards the alley as the second year phase?
Yeah.
I think that's a
that's
good
smart.
plan, Carl. Yeah.
I just don't want it to look half done for a year. in
Exactly.
hopes that the second half comes to fruition.
Right.
So,
Also,
Carl,
would the donor be willing to allow others to participate at a second stage level? In other words, it kind of becomes a memorial LA, or would that be interfering with her dreams?
I think I can speak to that because I think she's interested in as much participation from the community as possible. So I
Okay.
feel like I can speak for her to say
Yep.
yes, she would be delighted with help.
Because I think
I agree.
once
Yeah.
people see it taking place, they may drive by and say, oh, can I participate? Can I put a cypress tree up in memory of my loved one? I think you're going to be surprised at that. You know, and Carl, you've got a citywide, you want to donate a tree going on
Yes.
right now. And
Yes.
some people may say, I don't want to donate one to the park, but I'd love to put one in the cemetery. And once this starts, you may have, you know, it can be called the Memorial LA because others are putting trees in as memorials to their family. Anyway, I think she might be Jackie
and the-
said she'd be agreeable to that. So
And the
Oh, I think
plaques-
she would. I think she would too. And Carl, just for everyone's information, what she is proposing for sure right now is in the $10,000 donation is purchasing approximately 16 Italian cypress, about 12 feet tall, to line the entry of the cemetery. I would also purchase 2 at 12 feet and 2 at 16 to 17 feet for either side of the gates on for a total of 20 trees. I think we can take those numbers and work in them, and then Carl, we can visit with her about this other idea that you're talking about. But at least at this point, we know that we're talking about approximately 20 trees, and so you can work with those numbers going forward with a plan.
What I had mentioned it, I think that's 18 trees. 612. Yes. So the entrance and the round gazebo, that's 18 trees. And in terms of the plaques, depends on how she wants to do it. We could either have 2 plaques, one that's part of her portion, and then a second one that includes the names of the other donors. Or if she's okay with it, we can combine it into 1 plaque.
Okay.
That would be,
Honoring her father and the other donors.
don't you think that would be something that we would want to do in the phase 2 portion of the project after there is some possible marketing done to see if there is community participation? I mean, put it up on the website that there will be this phase 1 of, you know, the beautification using these trees around the 2 focal points at the entrance, and then the gazebo, and then the opportunities for donors. And so let it sort of be an organic thing to see how that plaque should come together. Or does she want something immediate?
I feel like she will probably, once we start this phase 1 of this project, and she does her donation for this year, I feel like she would probably prefer, and I'm just assuming, I'll have to talk to her, obviously, but I do know that she would like to do a plaque of some sort at the base of a tree in honor of her father, and she definitely wants that. It may be that we could do a second plaque afterwards. I don't know. We'll just have to talk to her about that and find
So
out.
basically she wants a plaque,
She does.
phase 1, and then phase 2 plaque would be after the completion and the beginning of the second phase. So, okay, good. If she wants a plaque, I'm fine with that. Anybody that wants to make this kind of contribution to me needs to be acknowledged.
Anybody else have any thoughts on that? Okay. We will move forward. Are there any other questions or any other comments about that program?
Carl, is it possible that you could shoot us a copy of that preliminary design, please, for our files?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I'll make sure Jeremy has it so he can share it with you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on. We will move on. Kim was going to join us and give us a Friends of Fairmount update, and she wasn't sure if she was going to be able to make it or not. Obviously, she did not, and I do not have an update on Friends of Fairmount for today for you. So that brings us to consideration of future agenda items and announcements. There is a couple of things that I wanted to mention while Jeremy's still handy. And I think I mentioned in one of my updates, my monthly updates to y'all, we have, as of Friday, had a new air conditioning system put into the office. The air conditioning system said bye-bye, and they were without, but we do have that. And we also, you may have, when you've driven by, you may have seen some little flags in the front. We have a major leak, a water leak. You want to fill us in a little bit on that, Jeremy, and what the plans are with that?
We did have a leak. We couldn't find where the leak was actually, we couldn't locate the leak, but what we did was we capped it off. And so we're gonna run a new line to the island that's in the front of the parking lot and run a line to the front yard. So this has kept us from being able to water the front area. It was in that sprinkler system. Yes, ma'am. The leak is somewhere in that line that's going to the front yard of the office.
Okay. So we'll work on that. Also, I would like to remind y'all that the trust performance booklets are at the office. That Zach Reyes dropped by, so y'all can drop by and pick up one of those if you haven't already. Anything else? Anybody? Any comments or announcements?
The trust is performing as to be expected during this time, and overall it's doing quite well.
Thank you. Okay, our next meeting is scheduled for September the 16th at 9:30 a.m. And I'm assuming that we will probably, the way things are going, we'll be on Zoom again.
Yes.
We don't know yet.
We don't know yet, but possibly, yes.
All right. Well, if there's no further comments or announcements, we will continue to keep you updated via email if anything comes up.
Stay safe.
All right.
Thank
Meeting
you.
adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Good
Good
meeting.
meeting, Ann. Good meeting, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. Anybody have
Bye. Leith.